On a foggy December night in 1968, two teenagers sat in their car overlooking the serene waters of Lake Herman Road in Benicia, California. David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen were on their first date, sharing what should have been an innocent moment of young love. But in the shadows, someone was watching. Someone who would soon transform into America's most chilling and calculating serial killer. At exactly 11:15 p.m., a figure approached their car. Within minutes, both teenagers were dead, executed with cold precision that would become a terrifying signature. But this wasn't just another murder. This was the beginning of a reign of terror that would grip California in fear for decades, spawned by a killer who didn't just want to murder, he wanted to play games with the entire world. The Zodiac Killer had claimed his first victims, and he was just getting started. Introduction. For over 50 years, one name has haunted the corridors of American law enforcement, the pages of true crime history, and the nightmares of those who dare to delve into its darkness: the Zodiac Killer. This wasn't just a serial killer. This was a mastermind who turned murder into a twisted game of cat and mouse with police, journalists, and the public. Between 1968 and 1969, the Zodiac Killer confirmed 7 victims across Northern California, though he claimed responsibility for 37 murders in cryptic letters that taunted authorities. But what made this killer truly terrifying wasn't just his methodical brutality. It was his intelligence, his arrogance, and his ability to vanish without a trace, leaving behind only coded messages that would baffle cryptographers for generations. Tonight, we dive deep into the mind of America's most enigmatic predator, exploring the murders that shook California to its core and the ciphers that continue to perplex experts today. This is the story of a killer who remains free, a mystery that refuses to die, and secrets that may never be revealed. Backstory. The late 1960s were a time of upheaval in America. The summer of love had given way to darker realities, and California, once the promised land of dreams, was becoming a landscape of fear. Charles Manson's family was preparing for their own reign of terror, but another predator was already stalking the quiet suburbs and lovers' lanes of Northern California. The Bay Area in 1968 was a place where young couples felt safe parking along secluded roads, where teenagers could find privacy beneath the stars without fear. Lake Herman Road, Blue Rock Springs, and Lake Berryessa were romantic destinations, places where love bloomed and memories were made. But the Zodiac Killer transformed these innocent locations into crime scenes that would forever be stained with blood and terror. What made this killer different from others was his apparent education and intelligence. This wasn't a crime of passion or desperation. This was calculated, methodical, and deeply psychological. The Zodiac didn't just want to kill. He wanted to be famous. He wanted to be feared. And most chillingly, he wanted to prove he was smarter than everyone hunting him. The social fabric of California was already fraying with protests, racial tensions, and generational conflicts. Into this chaos stepped a killer who understood that media attention was power, and that fear could be weaponized more effectively than any gun or knife. Suspense. After the Lake Herman Road murders, the Bay Area held its breath. Police initially treated the deaths as an isolated incident, a tragic case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the killer wasn't finished. He was just beginning to reveal the true scope of his horrifying game. 7 months later, on July 4th, 1969, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau were parked at Blue Rock Springs Golf Course when a car pulled up beside them. Without warning, the driver opened fire, killing Ferrin instantly and severely wounding Mageau. But this time, something was different. The killer didn't simply disappear into the night. 40 minutes after the shooting, the Vallejo Police Department received a chilling phone call. A man's voice, eerily calm and controlled, spoke words that would haunt investigators forever. I want to report a murder. No, a double murder. They are 2 miles north of park headquarters. They were in a white Volkswagen Carmen Ghia. I'm the one that did it. But the terror was just beginning. On August 1st, 1969, 3 newspapers, the San Francisco Chronicle, San Francisco Examiner, and Vallejo Times-Herald, each received an identical letter. The correspondence was typed, precise, and accompanied by a cryptogram containing 408 symbols. The letter began with words that chilled readers to the bone. Dear editor, I am the killer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman Road and the girl on the 4th of July near the golf course in Vallejo. The killer provided details about the murders that only the true perpetrator could know, including the type of ammunition used and specific positioning of the victims. But it was the cryptogram that truly showcased his twisted intelligence. A cipher he claimed contained his identity, taunting police and the public to solve it. The letter was signed with a symbol that would become synonymous with terror. A circle with a cross through it, resembling a rifle scope's crosshairs. The Zodiac Killer had officially announced himself to the world. Amateur cryptographers and professional codebreakers worked feverishly to decode the cipher. When it was finally cracked by a high school teacher and his wife, the message revealed the killer's disturbing psychology. I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all. But the most chilling part of the decoded message suggested the killer believed his victims would become his slaves in the afterlife, a delusion that revealed a mind completely detached from reality and consumed by power fantasies. The attacks continued with increasing boldness. On September 27, 1969, at Lake Berryessa, the Zodiac approached Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard during a peaceful afternoon picnic. This time, he wore a bizarre executioner's hood with his Zodiac symbol painted on the front, and he carried a gun and rope. Unlike his previous attacks, this encounter was prolonged and sadistic. The killer tied up both victims, engaging in conversation before stabbing them repeatedly. Hartnell survived and provided the first detailed description of the Zodiac, but Shepard died from her injuries. On their car door, the killer left a chilling message written in black marker, documenting the date, time, and his signature symbol. The attacks were escalating, becoming more personal and theatrical. The Zodiac was no longer content with quick, efficient murders. He wanted to terrify, to dominate, and to leave lasting impressions that would haunt survivors and investigators alike. Key evidence. On October 11, 1969, the Zodiac Killer reached the pinnacle of his reign of terror in the most shocking and brazen attack yet. Paul Stein, a 29-year-old cab driver and part-time student, picked up a fare in downtown San Francisco. It seemed like a routine ride, until the passenger directed him to the intersection of Washington and Cherry Streets in the affluent Presidio Heights neighborhood. At 9:55 p.m., neighbors heard a gunshot. When police arrived, they found Stein slumped over his steering wheel, killed by a single gunshot to the head. But this wasn't just another murder. The killer had taken a gruesome trophy, cutting away a piece of Stein's blood-stained shirt as a macabre souvenir. 3 teenagers witnessed the aftermath from their bedroom window, watching in horror as the killer calmly exited the cab and walked north on Cherry Street. They immediately called police, providing a detailed description of a white male, approximately 5'8" tall, with a stocky build and brown hair. For the first time, multiple witnesses had seen the Zodiac Killer's face. But the most terrifying aspect wasn't the murder itself, it was what happened next. 2 responding police officers, Donald Fook and Eric Zelms, were driving through the area when they spotted a man matching the suspect's description walking along the sidewalk. Due to a miscommunication, they believed they were looking for a black male suspect, so they drove past the white man without stopping. Officer Fook later realized with chilling certainty that he had seen the Zodiac Killer walking away from his latest murder and had been mere feet from capturing America's most wanted serial killer. The missed opportunity haunted him for the rest of his career, and it demonstrated just how close authorities came to ending the Zodiac's reign of terror. 3 days after Stein's murder, the San Francisco Chronicle received another letter from the Zodiac. This correspondence contained a piece of Paul Stein's blood-stained shirt, undeniable proof that the writer was indeed the killer. The letter mocked the police investigation and provided accurate details about the crime scene that only the killer could know. "School children make nice targets," the letter threatened ominously. "I think I shall wipe out a school bus some morning. Just shoot out the front tire and then pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing out." The threat against school children sent the entire Bay Area into panic. Parents kept their children home from school, bus routes were changed, and police escorts accompanied school buses throughout the region. The Zodiac had successfully terrorized an entire metropolitan area with just words on paper. But perhaps the most chilling evidence came in the form of the ciphers themselves. The killer sent 4 cryptograms to various newspapers, each more complex than the last. The first cipher, containing 408 symbols, was solved relatively quickly. But the remaining 3 ciphers, the 340-character cipher, the 13-character cipher, and the 32-character cipher, resisted all attempts at decryption for decades. In December 2020, over 50 years after it was created, the 340-character cipher was finally cracked by a team of international code breakers using advanced computer analysis. The decoded message revealed the killer's continued obsession with the afterlife and his belief that his victims were destined to serve him in paradise. The breakthrough in decryption technology raised new questions. If this cipher could finally be solved after half a century, what other secrets might the remaining unsolved codes contain? And more terrifyingly, could there be additional messages hidden in the evidence that investigators haven't yet discovered? Conclusion. Today, more than 50 years after the Zodiac Killer's last confirmed attack, the case remains officially open and unsolved. The killer claimed responsibility for 37 murders, though only 7 deaths have been definitively linked to him through physical evidence and witness testimony. He may have killed dozens more, or he may have been lying, another layer of manipulation in his psychological game. Despite countless investigations, thousands of tips, and numerous suspects, the Zodiac Killer's identity remains one of America's greatest mysteries. DNA evidence has been extracted from some of the letters, but it hasn't led to a definitive match. Partial fingerprints were recovered from the cab, but they haven't yielded results. Even with modern forensic technology, the killer remains a ghost. What makes the Zodiac case so enduringly terrifying isn't just the murders themselves, it's the realization that somewhere out there, a brilliant and methodical killer outwitted an entire justice system and simply vanished. He could be dead, living quietly in obscurity, or he could still be among us, satisfied with the legacy of fear he created. The case has inspired countless books, movies, and documentaries, but it has also left real families shattered by loss and communities forever changed by fear. The victims, David Faraday, Betty Lou Jensen, Darlene Ferrin, Cecilia Shepard, Paul Stein, and potentially dozens of others, deserve justice that may never come. Perhaps most disturbing of all is the possibility that the Zodiac Killer achieved exactly what he wanted: immortality through infamy. His symbols are recognized worldwide, his ciphers continue to fascinate cryptographers, and his story remains a source of both terror and fascination for new generations discovering his crimes. The remaining unsolved ciphers continue to tantalize investigators and amateur sleuths alike. What secrets do they contain? Are they genuine codes with hidden messages, or are they meaningless symbols designed to waste investigators' time and resources? The killer was intelligent enough to create functional cryptograms, but he was also manipulative enough to send authorities on false trails. Recent advances in artificial intelligence and cryptographic analysis have renewed hope that the remaining ciphers might eventually be decoded. Each breakthrough brings us closer to potentially understanding the killer's motivations, methods, and possibly even his identity. But with each passing year, the likelihood of finding the Zodiac alive diminishes, even as the mystery deepens. Engagement. The Zodiac Killer case represents one of the most complex and terrifying criminal puzzles in American history. Every piece of evidence tells a story, but the complete picture remains frustratingly out of reach. The killer's intelligence, combined with his psychological manipulation tactics, created a perfect storm that allowed him to evade capture and achieve the notoriety he desperately craved. But here's what truly haunts investigators and true crime enthusiasts alike. The Zodiac Killer didn't just disappear, he stopped. After the Paul Stein murder and the subsequent letters in 1969, confirmed Zodiac attacks ceased. Why? Did he die? Was he imprisoned for another crime? Did he simply decide he had accomplished his goals and retire from killing? Or is he still out there, watching as the world continues to obsess over his crimes? The case files remain open, and advances in forensic science continue to offer new hope. Cold case detectives regularly review the evidence, and citizen investigators pore over every detail, hoping to find the clue that will finally solve the mystery. DNA technology improves each year, and artificial intelligence provides new tools for analyzing patterns and connections that human investigators might miss. So what do you think happened to the Zodiac Killer? Do you believe he's still alive, perhaps living quietly among us, satisfied with his legacy of terror? Could he have continued killing in other locations, adapting his methods to avoid detection? Or did something prevent him from continuing his spree? Death, imprisonment, or perhaps a psychological breakdown that ended his killing compulsion? Would you dare to walk alone at night on Lake Herman Road, knowing that somewhere in those shadows, one of America's most dangerous predators once hunted his prey? Can you imagine the terror of receiving one of those cryptic letters, knowing that a brilliant and methodical killer was playing games with your mind? Share your theories in the comments below. Do you think the remaining ciphers contain the key to solving this case? Or are they elaborate red herrings designed to frustrate investigators? Have you ever tried to decode them yourself? And perhaps most importantly, do you believe this case will ever truly be solved? Or is the Zodiac Killer destined to remain America's most terrifying unsolved mystery forever? The truth is out there, hidden somewhere in the evidence, waiting for the right person to put the final pieces together. Will it be you?